Hi, I'm Miss Louise. I teach 10th grade world history.
Hi, Miss Louise. This is Miss Masaki on the other side of the camera. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about a book that you've enjoyed and tell us the author and the name of the book, and then a little brief summary.
Okay, so the book is called, let me make sure I'm saying it right, Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen.
Ooh.
So, in brief summary, it's about this teenage girl named Ruby. I think she's either in her junior or senior year, in high school, and she basically has issues at home. Like her mom's an alcoholic and kind of abandons her and leaves her in this house until custody notices, and she's still a minor at the time, so they move her to her sister's house. And from there, she has to readjust because her sister is actually pretty well off, and she has a trouble adjusting to accepting help from them because she views it almost as it means that she's weak, so she has to figure out her own identity in that aspect. And then she becomes friends with the neighbor named Nate, and those two have a spiraling back and forth between their own, because Nate has his own set of secrets, and she notices because of her set of secrets, and so they're of course trying to not tell each other what the secret is because they don't want others to know what's behind the closed door. So in summary, that's kind of what it is: Ruby adjusting to this new life, and whether she understands her past and lets go, or drags it forward on, which is a constant debate between her and Nate because they have those similarities between the two.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. I think I get an idea of why it's called Lock and Key now, because I was at first I was like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be about. So, can you tell us a little bit about why it is that you liked this book in particular?
So I like this book in particular just because of the fact that, as even when I was reading it as a teenager, and even now, we have the problem of isolating ourselves. We have a hard time saying, hey, I need help, because we view that as a sign of weakness rather than something that actually can help us and better ourselves, because it's also understanding what are your limits. Clearly I'm overwhelmed, I need help. And so that's a big part why I really like the book. And also just because sometimes it's stepping out of your own comfort zone. I think that's a big part of the book too that I really liked. And that reference to the past, which Lock and Key makes a big reference. There's a reason I'm not mentioning the key because it is a big part that ties in the whole book at the end. But part of our past is that key point that I really liked about it, because of just different ways we view our life, and sometimes we just view this past as the past or drag it forward and not really realize we're dragging it with us, and how harmful and also beneficial it can be to have the past with you.
Oh, that's really interesting. That makes me kind of want to read it more. And why do you think, why would you suggest this book for others, maybe even specifically students? Why should other people read this book, you think?
I think it's a kind of good way to step out of what your own life is. I think also to see maybe some challenges as to maybe why yourself. When I read it, it was like a reflection piece of, I relate to this character, but in certain ways, not in all of them. But then also I could relate ways to my friends. So it gave me to associate different parts of different aspects, but also just to kind of take a look at myself and others around me.
Okay, so going a little left field here, why is reading something that you feel like is still important for you today? And tell us a little bit about your adult reading life.
Okay, so reading for me, adult life is really hard because I don't have as much time to read.
Yeah.
But I do try to read it because, so although I'm a history teacher, and the misconception might be that I read history books or historical fiction, I've only read one historical fiction that I actually liked and didn't put down. But I don't like it because I like fiction just to escape my reality. Sometimes it's a break from all the stress and whatnot that's going on. So it was a nice escape. Even in high school, I liked it because this is this fantasy land. I liked the whole vampire realm that it went down under, especially when Twilight became really popular.
Yeah.
So it was just that escape. And actually Twilight was the book that actually, a book and series that got me to read again, because in middle school I did not read at all. And I fell in love with Twilight, as cliche as it is.
It's okay. It wasn't cliche at the time. At the time, everyone was like, oh my God, Twilight.
Yes, and my friend introduced it because she wanted me to be like in the loop before all the movies came out.
Smart.
So I had to like binge read the series, and it was good. And so for me, it was just like, I was like, I like this world that you imagine, but then at the same time, when I watch movies from books, I'm like, it's not quite how I pictured it, because you really jump into this like alternate world, and you just kind of disconnect from everything. So it's kind of, that's what I like, that it's like an escape from my reality, but it also kind of like helps me to just disconnect and do something for me. So that's why I like reading. That's why I still find it fun to do, to just kind of escape, especially when I've got so much going on. I'm like reading, focusing on one thing. And I'm one of those that, even though I'm a techie person, I actually don't like reading books on the screen. I actually like having the physical copy in my hand.
Me as well.
It just helps me focus and not deviate from anything else.
Yeah, and there's no distractions in a book. You know, on my phone I've got notifications that pop up, but on a book it's like, no, there's nothing here to interrupt me.
Perfectly, it sets my phone aside and I can just focus on the book.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's really what it is. It's just an escape, and it's nice to delve into like the fantasy world that sometimes I'm like, if only it would exist, right? So the little imaginative side that still exists in my mind.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.